And one of the things that we've seen quite often is that organizations, as you might imagine, aren't static, right? Not only are the products that we're building not static, but the organizations themselves are not static. And so what's interesting is you go in and you install or you help lead an agile transformation, right? You put in an agile operating model, and then the business conditions around which that model was designed to deliver for change. Right. And so we've kind of coined this, we don't know what we're going to call it yet, system of sustainability, system of continuous improvement, system of improvement. We've played with some different names, right? But talk with me a little bit about the things that you're seeing with the clients you're working with that are driving and making that conversation so important for us.
Yeah. So we have, you can think about that as like micro disruption and then, macro disruption.
Yeah.
So just in the normal course of operating any business, your markets, your customers, the problems you solve, the things that make you viable don't naturally just flow in even amounts to all of your teams, right? Mm-hmm. So there's fluctuations in demand within a normally operating stable system. Like, here's these business capabilities over here for the next 3 things we want to do for the business are going to be super change. There's going to be a lot of disruption and a lot of change, but these other ones aren't going to change much. But then maybe in 6 months, it could change. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of change in the system from the flow of demand meeting capacity in general. Mm-hmm. So if we don't have any fluidity, if we can't actually align our capacity to our demand, then we have constraints. Mm-hmm. So we might have a team that's way undersubscribed and a team that's oversubscribed, and the undersubscribed team can think of things to do, but it might not move the needle. Meanwhile, we're not going to get as much done for the business because the oversubscribed team can't get any more work done. So there's just normal fluidity that needs to be established in a system. And then you have the macro disruption, and you could be the disruptor or the disrupted, and you have some large new wave of change comes through, some S curve really starts to hit, and now you have to adapt quickly. Things you didn't do before you have to do, and you have to do it as faster than your competition or your entire existence is threatened. And so it's positive and great and a great accomplishment to set up a stable system, but if that system can't actually adapt to the kind of problems that you have to solve with the capacities at which you need to solve them, the speed to market, those kinds of things, eventually it itself will become the bottleneck.
I want to be really clear, right? So a lot of times we're talking about installing Agile to respond to the change in market. Like, so features are changing, right? The needs of the market are changing, but it's almost like the assumption is that the organization itself, its delivery capability is static. What you're saying is that sometimes the delivery capability itself, the things that it builds, the way it organizes itself to build them, actually needs to respond to change as well. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
It does. You're not, with the types of things you take on in a normal course of business, if I have 5 teams, each one can do 20 gallons of work, I'm just not guaranteed. And frankly, the universe isn't going to be so nice to me to give me 20 gallons of work all the time for 5 teams evenly. Mm-hmm. So I might have fluctuations just day to day between those teams. I have to establish fluidity between those teams. But there are times where the alignment of that is structural and long-term. So it's not just temporary. We see long-term, shifts in demand patterns through the organization against our business capabilities, and we realize that structurally we're oversubscribed or undersubscribed or poorly structured. We don't have things grouped correctly. Mm-hmm. And so, we have big gaps to close, and we just don't have a lot of bench strength to close it. Mm-hmm. And so we want to change the structure and the alignment, of our capacity, and basically divide the problems up differently so that we can actually get capacity to demand. So mm-hmm. there's ongoing operation, and then there's just like the things that we have to do when we get big shifts into the nature of demand against our business capabilities.
So it's almost like there's a trying to think how to say this. It's almost like there's a capability to flex how we're building features against a known product set, and then a capability to flex the organization to adapt to the need for like maybe even new product sets or something like that. Like, I don't know if that's the way to describe it, but it's fascinating.
I would suspect it doesn't.
It's like an in the business, on the business. It's like agile as we think about it is like the way that we operate in the business to do the work of the business. It's almost like an agile capability to work on the business.
I would say it's it's core to business agility.
Yeah.
So if we take agile as a thing, as a term off the table, and we think about business agility, we have customers who we believe will give us money or some other thing that we value in response for some set of problems that we solve.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to create something for them, and they're going to give us something. There's an exchange of value, and so it's just never going to be that those things are static. And if our agile implementation, if our structure is static, it's the business agility of that structure is not real high.